Hi friends, welcome back to another video with Mountain Tribe Homestead. My name's Amberly. This is another week in the life video, and this week started out with my 16-year-old trimming my hair for me. The 16-year-old and the 14-year-old take turns trimming my hair when it needs trimmed, so it needed it. It definitely needed it. So this time we took off about 5 inches. It's still super long, but it feels so much better. So the girls and I and my freshly trimmed hair took a little trip to town to grab some items for some products that I've been making. I was running low and I needed some extra stuff. So on our way home, we drove by the farmer's market. This is where we spend a lot of time during the summer. I set up a lot of booths here and we get a lot of local produce from here, but we happened to drive by and they were open. So that was very exciting for us. It was the first time this year that we were able to make a trip there. Something else that I was able to take care of this year that I have been looking forward to doing for, believe it or not, years. Since my teenage years, I have collected recipes, created recipes, received recipes from people, and I just kind of put them in a 3-ring binder. I always thought the idea of having a recipe box was really cool, but I never found one that I actually liked, that matched my style, that just was one that I liked. And so I just kind of had this 3-ring binder, and I've got stuff printed off. I have handwritten things. I have things ripped out of magazines. I have them in the little plastic page protectors. And so I was really excited to start transferring my recipes over to a recipe box. That's so exciting to me. One of the other things that we did this week was the 16-year-old took and decorated the house. Her and the 14-year-old's, one of their best friends, had a birthday, and he turned 18 years old, and so the house got decorated, the house got cleaned, and the day before, and then the following day, he came and spent a big chunk of the day at our house and just celebrated his birthday with him. The 16-year-old made a cake for him, and she did this all by hand. And the inside was like a butter flavored cake, and then the outside was all chocolate with lots of chocolate sprinkles. And the 14-year-old made vanilla cake pops. It was all delicious, the cake pops and the cake. They did wonderful. So before we headed to bed that day, after we spent a lot of time decorating and getting the house ready, the 7-year-old and I decided we were going to get breakfast ready for tomorrow morning. And she decided that since it was his birthday and he was coming over tomorrow, that we needed to make muffins with sprinkles all over the top and chocolate chips. So I typically don't prefer to have this much sugar in our breakfast. And even though he wasn't going to be there for breakfast, having our breakfast birthday muffins, it was something she wanted to do that she thought was really fun. So we went ahead and made breakfast muffins, and this is just a basic muffin recipe. There's nothing fancy to it. It actually doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, but once she decided that she wanted to put the sprinkles on there, and then she put chocolate chips on there, that was quite a bit of sugar. But they were delicious nonetheless, and eating breakfast like this every now and then is not the end of the world. So I decided to go ahead and say, what the heck, why not? We're celebrating, we're gonna have a bunch of sugar anyways, we'll just go ahead and make a day of it. So later on in the week, we actually headed back down to the general store that I recently found that I have fallen in love with. I've gotten some bulk items from there, and they had a bacon bonanza celebration. They had bacon donuts there, and I purchased some bacon in bulk for a great price. That's the whole point we went down there, besides the bacon donuts. But this is just a little bit of what they have, and this was the first time the teenagers were in the store. So of course the 16-year-old is sitting there looking at hot sauce and picking out what looks good to her. She's obsessed with hot sauce, as I've mentioned before. And I got to take a little bit closer look at some other items that I didn't really notice they had before. I noticed all the popcorn, but this is something that I did not notice. I didn't see all of these popcorn toppings, which I thought they were awesome. I didn't get any. I did get another thing of a variety pack of popcorn, but I didn't get any popcorn toppings. We like to make our own. They have a variety of lots of drinks that I don't typically see. And here is my most favorite wall in that store. I'm so in love with this wall. I really want to make my wall at home this way. I won't, but I just love the way this wall looks. And so when we were leaving the store, after we got all of our stuff and we were headed outside to leave, and the local radio station was set up, they came and set up while we were inside. So when we left, we were able to spin the wheel and win some little cheap prizes, but it's fun. And two of the girls got a little plastic cup for a prize, and then this poor girl had to spin quite a few times before she finally landed on a prize. And she ended up with a t-shirt. And Matthew is obsessed with t-shirts. He wasn't able to go with us. He was working, but it was a pretty cool surprise that we ended up taking a random t-shirt back for him. So she ended up giving him that t-shirt because of his obsession with t-shirts. What a weird obsession, right? But it's his thing. He loves collecting t-shirts. We actually have plans to turn some of his t-shirts into a big quilt. But it was really fun. We had lots of fun. We ate lots of donuts. We got lots of bacon. And we headed home and unpacked everything. And because it is an hour drive, I did go ahead and immediately start dividing this bacon up. And I don't have a food saver, so I had to settle on using Ziploc bags. I always have to use Ziploc bags if I'm preserving food in the freezer, if I'm not going to use Tupperware containers of any sort. But one day I'll have a food saver and that'll be cool. But for now, these big Ziploc bags work, and they do the job just fine. So I got 20 pounds of bacon, and that gave me quite a bit bags to put in the freezer. So I measured it out with the scale that I had there, and I did not measure it out to 1 pound, and I did not measure it out to 2 pounds. I measured it out in between 1 and 2 pounds, because 1 pound is not enough for our family of 5, but 2 pounds is a little bit too much for our family. So I measured it out like around 1.5 pounds, give or take a little. And so I took everything and put it in this little shopping bag, because if you've watched my other videos, you know that my food storage, a lot of it, and a lot of my food pantry is actually under the house in the crawl space. So when I take a lot of things that need to go into the freezer down there or on the shelves down there, I have these little reusable grocery bags, and I put whatever I need in there, and I take it under the house and put it where it needs to go. And then I usually bring that bag back up. I have a bag that lives upstairs for if I need to carry things under the house. And then I have a bag that lives under the house if I end up down there and forget to take a bag, and when I'm going to get something and I can't carry it all. So that's the bacon. Some other things we got at this store. Last time I went, I got a roll of butter and I got the variety popcorn. This time I got another of each of those. I wish the roll of butter was unsalted, but that's okay. It's just fine. It's still delicious. I also got these bulbs, these onion bulbs, little yellow onion bulbs, and I got them to plant in the garden. And so there was a whole lot there. It was 1 pound just for $3, and I thought that was a great deal, and they're all pretty good. There's not many in there that are bad at all. The 14-year-old chose these socks. Each of the older girls got a pair of socks, and the 16-year-old chose these socks. They love having fun socks. I also decided to pick up everybody some fried pies. These old-fashioned fried pies are delicious, and I just got a little variety pack for everybody to try. And then later in the week, I ended up picking up more of these gallon-sized glass jars for free from a local sandwich shop. It's difficult to get the pickle smell out of those lids, but I am working really hard and trying to figure out what will work best. But for now, that's it for now. Let's go ahead and take a little tour and check out what's going on out in the garden. check the garden. It's pretty warm out. Figured I would come check it. We got some mullein here. That's exciting. Let's see what else is going on. All right. We've got some garlic getting pretty tall. I've got a few different kinds. See how you can tell the difference in the greens coming up. They're growing differently. And let's see. And we've got chocolate mint right here. Smells delicious. Wild onions. I let this basil go to seed, hoping it would replant itself. But we'll see. More wild onions. Thyme, German thyme. Let's see. There is a little bit of mullein coming up. I didn't plant these mullein. They are coming up on their own. They reseeded themselves. And they're coming up. This is my sage plant. Now this will not come back and pop up green for a little while. We'll see. And baby yarrow right here. Itty bitty, see? Coming up. I had my tomatoes in this garden last year, so that is why that's there. All right, let's see. Strawberry patch, one of them. And the other strawberry patch. And I had bee pollen in here, but I think the strawberries choked it out. And comfrey. Comfrey. Look at that. Comfrey coming back. That's awesome. More wild onions. This is chamomile. It looks similar to yarrow when it's young, but this is chamomile. This one is yarrow. I should have mint coming up here soon in all of these, and some over here. I have strawberries and cream mint and pineapple mint over there, and then lavender is coming back. See, bit of green. It'll be a little bit before this is fully going. My 2 lavender plants. And this guy I never got to plant last year. Purple coneflower, but that's coming back. And look at that. mullein. I had a few wild mullein plants last year, and they have reseeded themselves. This is mullein. I had yarrow planted here last year, but this is mullein coming back from a different plant in a different location. And if you look over here, so last year I only had 3 mullein plants. And you can see all the other ones, and then we've got this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, 5 in one bed. This is my asparagus bed, but I don't see any asparagus coming up this year. I transplanted it last year and was hoping that it would be all right, but I'm not sure. If it should have already come up some by now, but I'm not seeing any. And we'll see. This is, let's see, yarrow. Yeah, baby yarrow coming back. See that hole? That is a vole hole. That may be why my asparagus isn't shooting out of the ground. The voles may have gotten to the roots. This side of my garden is terrible with voles. Terrible. I have a few snakes living in the garden, and I was hoping that they would eventually knock out the voles, but the vole population is just ridiculous. This side of my garden is not, the voles are not over there. They are literally over here, in here, in there. So that's not cool. And I planted some bulbs here last year, some flower bulbs. I can't remember what they were, but they're coming up. Look. More mullein. I know what I'm going to be doing this year. Lots of stuff with mullein. Let's see. Now this, I planted mullein here last year, see? And I planted one there. Now, that's not alive. But I've got rosemary. I can see that that looks a little green. But all this other mullein is on its own here. I had a huge mullein over here that was wild. So that's what I'm going to be doing this year, is mullein. Okay, we're by the greenhouse. Let's check this garden out. What's going on over here? Oh. I think this is goji berry. I think this is a goji berry bush. Yep. Goji berry.
Here you are.
Here I am.
I heard something. I was like, what?
This is gooseberry coming back. Coming all the way out here. You see it? Gooseberry. And I've got elderberry coming back. Another elderberry. Another elderberry. I think this is another goji berry. I will get this all cleaned up. It's the big mess. Pumpkin patches over there. I will get this all cleaned up here soon. I just want to give the pollinators a little bit longer before I start disturbing where they're hanging out. But pretty soon it's gonna look completely different. Yay! Before I go inside and start making dinner, I recently took you guys out here to check out the fruit trees. And so the fig trees still are looking the same. They still have that little bud. And they're all doing good. Look at the cherry trees, the dwarf cherry trees. They look different than the last time I showed you guys. They are coming out. You see? The leaves are coming out. If you hear the screaming in the background, my dogs are inside howling. There they are. I was just heading inside and I saw these trees and I figured I would show you. Give you a little update on them. They're doing great. All right, so that's the garden, and yes, we had bacon incorporated into a couple of our meals this week, and the egg production from our hens is ramping up, and the eggs are coming in so fast so we can't keep up to eating them. So soon we will be water glassing eggs, especially if they're going to be coming out looking that clean. But that's pretty much it for this week. I don't like showing you things that are too repetitive, but I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you again next time, friends. Bye!